Hi guys, it's Toby Hollington here. I am the Ecom Business Coach. In this training today, I'm going to show you one of the most important things that you need to know and understand in your ecom business, and that's how to get in control of your money. Numbers are the language of business, and it's really important that you as an ecom business owner understand your numbers. And by understanding your numbers and being across your financials, you'll get in control of your money and you'll be able to drive more profits and generate more cash, which is ultimately where we need to be as an ecom business owner. Now what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to go through and show you the framework that I use when I work with my clients one-on-one to help them get in control of their money. Now obviously when I work with them, there's other areas here that I work on as well, and this framework is set up to get your ecom business to $1 million. So I want you to be $1 million ecom store, and that's $1 million a year and then $1 million a month. That's what this is aimed to help you get to. So to do that, we need to work on these three areas, but today I'm going to talk about money. And this is probably the foundational step and the first area I work with when I'm working with ecom business owners. Because it's really important you have an understanding of that. And from an ecom business point of view, you need to know your margins that you're making on your products and that there's enough margins in there to either sell wholesale or retail and to pay for marketing. And then we need to know and make sure that we're across the whole cost of running the business, and we understand what your break even is and what sales we need to get to be able to pay for the things we need to invest in. And then we need to know how to manage your cash better. Now, when you're in an ecom business, obviously you have to buy stock, and sometimes that stock can be have to pay for up front, and then you have to be shipped to you, then you have to sell it, then you have to buy more stock. So you have to manage that cash flow. There's often a cash gap, and that gap can get even bigger if you're manufacturing your own products, because you have to buy all the raw materials, you have to pay labor to make the product, then the product might sit on your shelf for a little while before you sell it and turn it into cash. So managing our cash is very important, and that's the key reasons why as a ecom business owner you need to be in control of your money. But there's basically three key areas I work with my clients to help them get in control of their money, and that starts off first and foremost with profit. And the number one thing I do there is calculate your break even and set up your forecasts. So let's call that break even. So this is to understand probably one of the most important numbers that you need to know in your business, and that's understanding exactly how many sales you need to do each day, week, month and year to break even in your business. A good metaphor for teaching break even is thinking of your ecom business as a plane. So when you're flying your plane, the most important thing you need to know and understand is where the ground is. That's your altitude, that's how high you're flying. Once you understand what your break even is from a sales point of view, you'll know each day how high the business is from flying off the ground. And there's two break evens that we often calculate. One's your cost break even, so the sales you need to do that day, week, month or year to cover your costs and have zero profit. And then we also do your profit break even. So we've got a target of profit you want to achieve, so we know we need to produce this amount of sales to get to that profit level. So you'll end up having two figures that you know exactly where you're at on a day-to-day basis. We can then turn that into a sales forecast, and that's really important. You understand, okay, then all right, what's my target sales each day, week, month and year? And then you've got also a budget for your fixed costs. So you know exactly how much your costs are for running your business, and you can put that information into your accounting software, and you can compare budget versus actual, and you can give people like your marketing guys a budget. So we know exactly how much we are going to spend, and we know exactly what we expect to return from that. That helps you to get in control of your money from that perspective and control of your understanding of where things are. The other key thing when you're dealing with profit that you need to be across of is your products. So we need to know exactly how much it costs for each of your products. So if you're buying and selling someone else's products, that's not so hard to do. Obviously you can get the price that you're paying them plus any freight. That's your kind of costs. If you're manufacturing it, then you obviously need to sit there and calculate and work out exactly what those costs are. So that's where you need to go away and calculate, okay, what raw materials that are in each product, how much labor's involved in making those products, and then what packaging we use in those products as well. It's really important you understand first and foremost what those products cost. And often, and I'm working with a client at the moment where we've just done this. So we've just done this and we update it every 6 months. We've got spreadsheets where we calculate exactly how much it costs them to produce the product. They do manufacture their product, so obviously we have to update the raw material costs all the time. We then have to measure the efficiencies of the team. That's really important you do that. So we know exactly how much it costs us for them per litre to produce. So then we can work out how much it costs per item. And then obviously we know what the packaging costs are. And we've got teams that are always working on phoning up, getting better prices, trying to reduce it down and trying to work more efficiently. So then we can monitor those costs and see if we can get them down a bit more. So it's really important you know your costs. If you don't know your costs, get to know them very quickly. Set up one of my favourite things, a spreadsheet, and list down all your products on there and work out exactly what your costs are. Then you can look at your sales, so your sales price you're charging, and then you want to look at your margins. And this is really important. You want to make sure the business is making enough margin. The key things here you need to be mindful of is the fact that it's probably two things from a margin perspective. Margins, there needs to be enough margin in your product to pay for ads. So you're going to have to pay for some click ads to get traffic to your site to get new customers. So the higher the margin in your product, the lower your break even is, or your return on ad spend you need to make your ad campaign profitable. So obviously it's important there's enough margin in the product for us to be able to do that. The other thing you need to think about when you think about margin is if you're wholesaling a product. So if you are manufacturing your own product, or you've got distribution rights for your product for your country or whatever, then you should be charging a higher margin for your retail customers, and then you'll be able to share that margin with your wholesale customers so they can sell it for you too. So as an example, an average gross profit margin is 30%. I would be aiming for at least 40% if you're buying and selling someone else's product, or 60 to 80% if you're manufacturing. So you can share that with somebody else. But you need to make sure the margins are there. This helps you to get in control of profit. You now know the cost of running your business. You know the cost of your products. You know your sales prices. You know your margins. You know now what sales you need to do each day, week, month and year to get to the profit levels that you want to get to. So that gets you in control of your profit. The next thing then we need to work on is cash. So cash is obviously really important because, like I said, you've got lots of cash flying around. So when you think about there's two things to cash. The first one is understanding your cash gap. Hold on, my pen stopped working. So cash gap is the gap between you getting your money in. Hold on 2 seconds. Oh, is that frozen? Here we go. Wait, notes has been playing up a lot recently. Don't know why. But okay, the first one here is the cash gap. So the cash gap is really important, and that's the gap between when you pay money out for your products and when you then get paid from your customer. So a good example of this is I had a client in the UK. They had an e-com store and they sold wholesale as well. So this was quite a few years ago now, but they were selling USB sticks when USB sticks were fairly new. So they were importing them from China, selling them online to the public, and then they were selling them wholesale to retailers as well. They actually won a contract with a huge retailer, Tesco's, in the UK, and then but by the time they came to us, they had a real problem with their cash flow. Their profit and loss looked great. They were getting sales in the door, they were earning a good margin, and their profits looked fantastic, but they had no money left in their bank account. And that was because of the cash gap. And this is something you need to manage as an e-com store owner as well. So ultimately, they were importing their stock from China. They had to pay for that from day one. So the second, before it even got the boat, money's gone out their bank account. They then have to wait a few weeks, potentially months, for the stock to arrive. Then the stock is then rebranded and some work's done on it before it's ready to ship. So that's more costs and time for them. And then it gets shipped to the customer. So when they're dealing with Tesco's, which then ended up being a big chunk of their business, that means they didn't get paid for it straight away. Obviously, when you're selling to Joe Blow in the public, you get paid as soon as the sale's done. Here, they were on account. They took 90 days to pay. So they had a huge gap from the first moment they paid out before they got the money in. So they have to fund that gap. That's what we call the cash gap. They had to fund that gap, and they were getting into major trouble. So we put some trade finance in place, which trade finance is a product that banks use that help you fund your purchases from overseas. So a lot of e-com businesses buy from overseas. You need to find some funding for that. Trade finance is only really available once you're at a certain level. Before that, there are other products available that will help you. But you want to get some products that help you, because the overseas aren't going to give you credit. But you want to get some credit there, so we've got some trade finance in there. The other thing we did was we did some debtor finance for them as well, which is finance on invoices. So as soon as the invoice is raised, they got 80% of that paid straight away. Then we looked at ways of being more efficient with the rebranding and the sending out to customers. And then we worked on the other areas. So we worked on the profit and the data, but that's how we close their cash gap. You need to think about that in your business, especially if your business is growing, which is obviously what we're going to be doing. Because as your business grows, you have to buy more stock before you get the money. So that means money goes out before it comes in. So as you grow, you can run out of money. And this is what's happening to this business. They were growing very quickly, and often that can be the death of a business. They grow too quickly without having a foundation in place to understand what their money situation is, or having some financial products to help them. So it's really important you get that in there. The other thing you need to think about, and we look at from a cash gap point of view, is when you break even on your ads. So your Google or Meta, usually are the two main two. So your ads that you're paying for, at what point do you break even on those ads? So you need to know the numbers on your ads. So how much does it cost you to get a sale? How much is the average sale? How much margin are you making on that sale? Is that a profit on the first sale, or is it the profit on the second or the third sale? So we need to know what we call acquisition cost, customer lifetime value, so we can work out when we are getting a return. Because that works out then how much funding you might need to get your growth and to make sure you are getting a growth. But that's understanding your cash gap. Then to add to that, we then add in what we call your cash flow forecast. And cash flow forecast is a way of managing that cash. So we set up what you should do, and what I do with my clients is I set up a weekly cash flow forecast, which then is updated regularly to make sure that we know exactly what our bank balance is, what's coming, what we expect coming in, what's going out, and then we're putting money aside for the next stock purchase, for example, and all your tax, so PAYG, Super, GST, whatever, or whatever taxes are in your country, we'll get it then put into a separate bank account as well, so we know that money's there. And when you get to the point where you want to invest in new products or you want to put profit aside, we have other accounts where we put money aside for those, so that it's not kept in your main bank account and you know exactly where your cash flow is at any point in time. And it's really important you do that. Then the final steps here to get in control of your finances is, first and foremost, reporting. So you need to make sure you've got proper reporting set up for your business. So one thing I implement with my clients is the Ecom Business Dashboard, which shows the key KPIs, the key performance indicators, on a daily or weekly basis to know whether we're tracking properly and we're going in the right direction of where we want to go. And that could include site visitors, it could include add to basket conversion rate, abandoned carts, number of sales, average order values, total sales, margins, those types of things against the budget. So we know exactly where things are each week, and we know whether we're on track or not, or whether we need, or if what we're doing is working or not. So it's important you send that dashboard, set that dashboard up, and you're clear how you're performing. And what you're looking at there is obviously everything that drives sales, everything that drives gross profit on a weekly, at least a weekly basis. And that's part of the weekly review. You need to look at that data. The other thing then we need to do is make sure that you have proper professional support. And this is for your bookkeeping and your accountant. So you need to make sure that you've got a proper bookkeeper in place who will then obviously manage your accounting software. Make sure that it's set up properly and in line with how we want to report. And then obviously go through and make sure everything's done properly, invoicing, bank reconciliations, chasing any outstandings, payments, all of that stuff, wages, all of that stuff's done properly and it's off your hands as a business owner. You don't want to be doing that. And then also they should be able to produce a regular report for you. So a monthly profit and loss, budget versus actual. So we can see exactly how we're tracking. Then the other professional support you need is just make sure you've got the right accountant in place who can then support you with the structural tax stuff and all that stuff as well. They're the key things you need to work on to get in control of your money in your business. Now, if you've got any questions about that, then please put comments below. And if you like any help, obviously just give us a shout. You can book a call with me below this video as well. And if you like this video and you want to get some more training, please subscribe to the channel. And I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Cheers.